G'day guys, and today I'm going to do my tips for round 16 of the season. I can't believe it's round 16 already, feels like it only started a few weeks ago. Reasonable week last week. I'll have the video at the end of this one of how I went for my tips last week. But we'll get stuck into round 16. We've got Adelaide and the Dogs hosting a Friday night thriller at Adelaide Oval. And the Dogs haven't been in good form of late. They went down to the Eagles by 7 points. And the Crows just got over the line against the Blues. This will be a telling clash. Season on the line for the Dogs. Crows need to keep winning if they want to finish top 2, top 4. I'm going to go the Crows by 10 points at Adelaide Oval. They're not in great form at the moment, the Dogs. And they haven't played at Adelaide Oval for a very long time against the Crows, if not maybe ever. So the Crows for this one, I reckon they'll get the job done. Hawthorn and the Giants over in Tasmania, so that'll be a fair trek for the Giants there. The Hawks have been doing a reasonable job of late. 4-goal win over the Pies. And the Giants had a draw with the Cats in an absolute cliffhanger. It's going to be a very close one this game. I reckon the Giants should be able to get the job done by 2 points. I reckon the Hawks will be pretty competitive. And they've got their mojo back. I reckon they've put together a couple of really good performances. And they're very hard to beat in Tasmania. But I reckon the Giants will just have them for class, pace, skill. Should get the job done, the Giants. It was nearly like I was tipping the Hawks, but we'll go to the next game. We've got Collingwood and Essendon at the MCG, and the Pies. Season could be nearly down the toilet. They need to win basically every game to be a mathematical chance of making the 8. And the Bombers, well, they were very disappointing again, very late, 27 points up against the Lions, and they could not finish the game off. The Lions are very happy about that one. But I'm going to go the Bombers by 8 points in this clash. I just feel like when they get their game going, they're really hard to stop. They get those lots of easy goals out the back with their hard work rate. And when the pressure from the midfield doesn't come from the opposition, they're incredibly difficult to stop. And the Pies just not showing enough for me at the moment, but it'll be a massive game, line in the sand game for both clubs if they want to make the 8 at all. The Swans have the Gold Coast Suns at the SCG. And the Swans just keep going. They just keep getting the wins on the board. Went to the G. Very nice win over Melbourne, who had 4 games in 18 days, which I'll allude to shortly. And Gold Coast a pretty good win over North Melbourne at home. They were pretty happy with that. I'm going to go the Swans here by 40 points. Sydney have just been back to their best, it has to be said. Being at home is a massive advantage there as well, and I just don't think Gold Coast will quite have enough in the tank to be able to get across the line over Sydney. Moving along to the Brisbane Lions at the Gabba, hosting the Cats, and the Lions an amazing win over the Bombers. No one saw it coming, especially when they're 27 points down. The Cats were 20 points up and ended up with a draw. They'll take that as a result over the Giants. I'm going to go the Cats here by 27 points, just to stay the same as last week with what they were down by the Lions. I think you can't really tip any game with confidence, but I reckon Geelong have had a little bit of a holiday. Hopefully they're not in holiday mode. I am a bit nervous facing Brisbane at the Gabba from previous games up there. So tend to put me off, but reasonable form against the Lions of late, and at the Gabba we've been pretty decent, minus that 2013 clash. So I think going on our recent record, we're in good form. I think we'll get the job done. Moving along to St Kilda and Richmond at Etihad Stadium. This will be another Saturday night game, another thriller, we reckon. I'm going to go I won't go into what I'm going to go for. The Saints, big win over the Dockers, getting it across the line. I think it was 9 points in the end, and the Tigers came out in the second half. Alex Rance said, I'm going to get us across the line here, and the Tigers, a great win over Port Adelaide, and they're going going very well at the moment. Right in the hunt for a top 4 spot. Not the flag yet, maybe. I'm going to go to the Tigers by 18 points here. I think their form's been great. Their defensive pressure and their ability to keep sides to a pretty low score. I think they're number 1 in the comp for scores against, so they're not conceding much, which may be 18th actually. But I'll go with they're the best defensive team in the competition right at the moment. They've got a great game plan under Damien Hardwick, and I reckon the Tigers are winning this one. North Melbourne and Fremantle and Etihad Stadium, disappointing losses of both these teams last week. The Kangaroos went down to the Suns by it was about 18-19 points, and the Dockers went down by 9 points to the Saints at home, which they'll be incredibly disappointed with. Sandy went out early, which is going to be a massive disadvantage for them. And he probably would be the main reason. I'm going to go with North Melbourne here by 15 points. And especially being at Etihad, the Dockers' form of late has, since basically the Geelong game was their only real great performance of late. Other than that, they've been one of the worst comps in the league. So I have no choice but to go North Melbourne, who have been playing reasonable footy, but patchy as well. So North Melbourne there. Carlton and Melbourne at the MCG, and the Blues very close to the Crows last week. Fantastic display. And Melbourne, they went down fighting. They had 4 games in 18 days. Injuries galore to some of their stars, contested ball machines. So, bit of leeway for Melbourne, but I'm going to go the D's by 13 points. I believe the Blues have won, I think it's 8 or 9 of the last 11. So I think Melbourne won that one early this year. But Carlton have had a great record against them and have every right to win this game with the form the Demons have had of late. A few injuries here and there, so I reckon the Melbourne will just be able to get across the line and bounce back for another win. Final game of the round, we've got West Coast and Port Adelaide at Domain Stadium. Big game here we've got, especially for Port Adelaide. The Eagles, they got a win in Melbourne. They'll be very happy with that. It's a fantastic display there. Vardy kicking the winner. Amazing last quarter. Wish you could have done that at the Cats, but that's another story. Port Adelaide, they were good for a little bit, and I think statistically they were decent, but the Tigers just, they got the job done, really. They took them to town and showed them how to win. So I'm going to go Port Adelaide here, and a little bit of an upset. I haven't seen the odds, but I'd say West Coast would be going as favourites. I'm going to go Port Adelaide by a point. I think it's about time they beat a top 8 side. It's a must-win game for them, and they have to get some kind of victory outside of their state, and also beat a reasonable scalp in West Coast. So I'm going to go Port Adelaide there and a bit of an upset. So those are my tips for round 16. Feel free to comment your tips down in the comments below, and feel free to like the video, subscribe for more of these. It'd be amazing. Catch you guys on the next video. See you then.